Chosen ones, the spiritual realm just shifted in your favor, and someone powerful is having a complete breakdown right now. They're sitting alone somewhere replaying every conversation, every decision, every moment they chose to believe the lies about you. And here's what's tearing them apart. They're crushed. Not just disappointed or embarrassed. Absolutely crushed. Because they actually believed the lies about you. The same lies that seemed so believable back then now sound completely insane. Back then it took nothing for them to accept the fake version of you as truth. Zero investigation. Zero questions. They just ran with it and built their entire perception of you on fiction. But something just clicked into place. That final piece of evidence. That last bit of proof. And now they're staring at the complete picture, realizing they destroyed a connection with someone extraordinary based on absolute garbage. What I'm about to show you will expose why doors slammed in your face, why opportunities vanished, and why people who should have stood with you turned against you instead. The truth is breaking through like sunlight after a storm, and everyone who bet against you is about to face a reckoning they never saw coming. Imagine someone's been working on a puzzle for months. They've got most of the pieces in place, but there are still 17 missing. The image is unclear. They're making assumptions about what the full picture shows. They're filling in the blanks with their imagination, with gossip, with whatever narrative makes sense based on incomplete information. Then one day, boom, that final puzzle piece lands right in the center, and suddenly everything shifts. What they thought was a portrait of a villain turns out to be a portrait of someone extraordinary. What they believed was evidence of your failure becomes proof of your resilience. That one piece of information they didn't have, it changes absolutely everything. And now they're sitting there staring at the complete image, and they feel like fools. This is where you are right now. Chosen one. You're in the final phase. The full picture of who you really are is coming into view for everyone who doubted you. The people who laughed are going quiet. The ones who spread rumors are scrambling to delete their messages. Those who slammed doors in your face are suddenly remembering they have your number. And the really devastating part for them, they're realizing what they could have had. The collaboration that would have launched their dreams. The partnership that would have been legendary. The relationship that would have been beautiful beyond measure. You were that person all along. But they listened to the wrong voices. They bought the fake version instead of seeking the truth. And now that they see who you really are, they're crushed by their own stupidity. Let me tell you what's happening behind the scenes right now. There are people in positions of power, people with influence and status, who built their entire perception of you on lies. These aren't random nobodies. These are the ones you wanted to impress. The ones whose approval you craved. The ones who could have opened doors for you, but instead kept them locked because they believed you were someone you're not. And now the truth is spreading like wildfire. Documents are surfacing, witnesses are speaking up. The timeline doesn't match what the liars claimed. The evidence that was supposedly damning, it's being revealed as manipulated or taken completely out of context. And these powerful people who pride themselves on their discernment, who claim they can spot a fake from a mile away, are having to confront a humiliating reality. They got played. Someone lied to them, and they were too lazy or too eager to believe the worst about you to actually investigate. Right now there's someone sitting in their home, and they're going through every interaction they had with you, every cold shoulder they gave you, every opportunity they denied you, every time they sided with your enemies instead of giving you the benefit of the doubt. And it's hitting them like a freight train. You were real the entire time. Your energy was authentic. Your intentions were pure, and they threw you away because someone else whispered poison in their ear. The weight of that realization is crushing them, because they're not just mourning what could have been, they're also facing the mirror and seeing themselves as the fool who was easily manipulated. That's a bitter pill to swallow when you're used to being the smartest person in the room. Here's what makes this even more intense. The people who lied about you, they're getting exposed too. Their masks are being ripped off in public. The methods they used to tear you down are coming to light, and those methods are revealing exactly who these people really are. Jealous, envious, insecure, desperate. They saw something in you that they wanted for themselves, and when they couldn't have it, they decided to destroy your reputation instead. They told people you were promiscuous when you were home alone. They claimed you were stealing when you never touched a thing. They said you were cruel when you were actually kind. They painted you as chaotic when you were the most stable person in the room, and they did it so convincingly that even smart people fell for it. But now the curtain is being pulled back, and everyone can see the puppet master pulling the strings. The ones who believe the lies are having two simultaneous realizations. First, they were wrong about you. Second, they were right to trust someone who turned out to be a manipulative liar. That's a double gut punch, because it means their judgment was compromised twice. They failed to see your truth, and they failed to see through the deception. For people who pride themselves on their intuition and their ability to read situations, this is devastating. They're questioning everything now. How did I miss this? How did I let someone play me like that? How did I throw away something valuable because I was too quick to believe the worst? These questions are haunting them, and there's no easy answer that lets them off the hook. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Chosen one. Some of these people want to come back. They want to strengthen the bond they destroyed. They're showing up with apologies and explanations and promises that things will be different now. They're talking about collaboration and partnership and all the things they should have offered you from the beginning. They're essentially saying this whole nightmare could actually make your relationship stronger, because now they know the truth and they'll never doubt you again. They're offering you the cup of reconciliation. They're extending the olive branch. They're trying to hit the reset button like nothing happened. And you know what? Some of you are looking at that offer with the coldest expression they've ever seen. You're looking at them like they just insulted your intelligence. Because where were they when the lies were flying? Where was this energy when you needed someone to stand up for you? They chose their side back then, and now they want to switch teams because they finally figured out which side is winning. They're coming to you with their hands full of opportunities and second chances, and you're sitting there utterly unmoved. No thank you. Not interested. You can take that offer and keep it moving, because you remember when they were laughing with the crowd. You remember when they gave you the cold shoulder at that event. You remember when they chose to believe a known liar instead of asking you directly what happened. You remember all of it. And now they expect you to just forget? Now they think you should be grateful they finally came to their senses. That's not how this works. You didn't survive all that mockery and isolation just to welcome back the people who contributed to it. You didn't maintain your integrity through the storm so you could hand out participation trophies to people who failed the loyalty test. If this message hits your spirit, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can find it. Let me tell you something about the ones who spread these lies. The ones pulling the strings behind the scenes. These people built their entire empire on deception. They climbed their way up by stepping on others. They accumulated their wealth through manipulation and schemes. When you look at how they got their position, their influence, their platform, it was all constructed on a foundation of lies. And now that foundation is cracking. People are starting to ask questions. How did they get that promotion when they had no qualifications? How did they build that business when they had no capital or skills? How did they convince so many people to follow them when their track record is questionable at best? The answer is always the same. They lied. They fabricated stories. They stole credit. They destroyed anyone who threatened to expose them. And you were just another target on their list. But here's what they didn't count on. You had something they couldn't destroy: truth, real integrity, genuine substance. They thought they could bury you under enough lies that no one would bother to dig for the facts. They believed that if they controlled the narrative long enough, it would become the reality. They assumed that people would be too lazy or too comfortable with the story they were told to investigate further. And for a while their strategy worked. People believed them. Doors closed for you. Opportunities dried up. Relationships ended. But they forgot one crucial thing. Lies have an expiration date. Truth doesn't. They can only hold up the facade for so long before the cracks start showing, before someone asks the wrong question, before a piece of evidence surfaces that contradicts their carefully constructed story. And when that happens, everything comes tumbling down. Right now, The people who built their lives on lies are watching their world collapse. They're seeing their credibility evaporate in real time. People who once hung on their every word are now looking at them sideways. The influence they worked so hard to accumulate is slipping through their fingers. And the worst part for them, everyone now knows they lied about you specifically. That means every other claim they ever made is now under scrutiny. If they lied about this person, what else did they lie about? Who else did they destroy unjustly? How many other reputations did they damage for their own gain? The domino effect is real, and it's spectacular to watch. One lie exposed leads to questions about all the other lies. One truth revealed opens the door for all the other truths to come flooding in. Some of you are in isolation right now, specifically because you're processing this. You're watching people try to come back into your life, and you're taking your time to decide who deserves access and who doesn't. This isn't about being petty or holding grudges. This is about boundaries. This is about recognizing that not everyone who wants back in has earned their way back in. Just because they now know the truth doesn't erase the fact that they didn't trust you enough to seek it out when it mattered. They waited for proof to be handed to them instead of defending you when you were vulnerable. That tells you everything you need to know about their character. So yeah, you're sitting there with your arms crossed, evaluating every apology with a skeptical eye. And you should be, because your energy is valuable, and you're done giving it to people who treat it like it's disposable. And let's talk about this isolation for a moment. While everyone else was caught up in the circus, believing the hype and spreading the gossip, you withdrew, you stepped back. You gave yourself space to breathe and think clearly. People probably judged you for that too. They said you were being antisocial or difficult or proud. They criticized you for not defending yourself more aggressively or for not engaging with their drama. But you knew something they didn't. You knew that wrestling with pigs only gets you dirty. You knew that defending yourself to people who had already made up their minds was a waste of energy. You knew that silence and distance were more powerful than any argument you could make. And now that the truth is out, people understand why you removed yourself. They see that you weren't running away. You were protecting your peace while the storm passed. You were preserving your energy for the moment when it would actually matter. This is why some of you need to maintain that same energy right now. You need to keep that same face you've been wearing, that unbothered expression, that calm demeanor that drove your enemies crazy because they couldn't break you. Don't get excited too fast just because people are finally seeing the truth. Don't start celebrating with everyone who shows up now. Remember who was clapping when your name was being dragged. Remember who stayed silent when you needed voices. Keep evaluating. Keep your guard up. This moment isn't about proving you were right to everyone who doubted you. This moment is about you finally receiving what was always yours. The validation is nice, but it's secondary. Your peace, your truth, your integrity. That's what matters. That's what you protected. That's what nobody could take from you, no matter how hard they tried. But let's be real about something. Not everyone who comes back deserves to be rejected. Some people genuinely didn't have all the information. Some people were manipulated by someone they trusted. Some people made an honest mistake based on what appeared to be credible evidence at the time. You're going to have to make some decisions over the next couple of weeks. You're going to have to separate the people who were actively against you from the people who were simply misled. You're going to have to figure out who's coming back because they genuinely value you, and who's coming back because they see you winning and want to be on the right side of history. This is where your discernment becomes crucial. You've got multiple cups being offered to you right now, multiple opportunities, multiple people wanting your attention. Not all of them are real. Not all of them have pure intentions. Some of them are fool's gold disguised as real treasure. Think about it like this. You're going to have people approaching you with contracts, with partnership proposals, with romantic interests, with business opportunities. Everything looks shiny. Everything sounds good. But you need to look beyond the surface. Ask yourself who stood with you when things were dark, who reached out when everyone else was silent, who questioned the narrative even when it was unpopular, who defended your character even when they had nothing to gain from it. Those are the people who deserve consideration, Those are the relationships worth strengthening, the ones who show up now that you're being vindicated. They need to prove themselves. They need to demonstrate that their interest is genuine and not just opportunistic. They need to acknowledge what they did wrong and show you through consistent action that they've learned from it. You need to understand something crucial about this moment. The measure of how badly they lied about you is the exact measure of how intensely the love and respect will come back to you. Think about that. If they told small lies, the correction would be small. But they didn't tell small lies, did they? They went all out. They painted you as the worst kind of person. They made you out to be dangerous or corrupt or evil or worthless. They didn't just stretch the truth. They created a completely fictional character and slapped your name on it. So when the truth comes out, when people see the real you standing next to the monster they were told about, the contrast is shocking. The distance between the lie and the truth is so vast that people can't help but be impressed. They can't help but respect you. They can't help but feel drawn to you. Because anyone who could withstand that level of attack and still maintain their integrity, that's someone special. That's someone worth knowing. That's someone worth loving. And here's what's wild about all of this. Some of the people who believed the lies and stayed on the sidelines watching you suffer, they're falling for you now. Not just professionally, romantically, emotionally, spiritually. They're watching how you carried yourself through the fire, and it's doing something to them. They're seeing strength they didn't know was possible. They're witnessing grace under pressure that they've never encountered before. They're watching you refuse to become bitter or vengeful or small despite everything that was done to you. And that's attractive on a level they can't even articulate. You went through hell and somehow you came out more refined instead of more damaged. You faced the worst of humanity, and you chose to remain human. That kind of resilience makes people want to orbit around you. It makes them want to be in your presence. It makes them want to learn from you and protect you and celebrate you. Here's what I need you to understand about the next phase. Your reputation is being restored in a way you've never experienced before. The lies are being put to rest permanently. The people who spread them are being exposed. The ones who believed them are having to publicly or privately recant. And the result of all this is that you're being seen in a completely new light. People are asking themselves how you held your head up through all of that, how you kept walking forward when everyone was talking about you like you were nothing, how you maintained your dignity when they were dragging your name through the mud. And that strength is making people fall in love with you in ways you didn't expect. Not just romantic love, though that's happening too. I'm talking about respect, admiration, a deep recognition that you're built different. You're not like everyone else who crumbles under pressure or retaliates with the same energy they received. You stayed true to yourself even when it cost you everything. The crazy part is that some of the people who were on the other side of the lies got to witness things you don't even know about. They heard conversations where people were viciously attacking your character. They were in rooms where decisions were made to exclude you or sabotage you. They saw the full extent of the campaign against you, and they stayed silent or participated. But now they're reflecting on all of that, and it's hitting them differently. They're realizing how strong you had to be to endure what they know was being done to you. They're understanding that while they were part of the mob, you were standing alone in your truth, and that contrast is making them see you as someone extraordinary, someone they want to be close to, someone they want to learn from, someone they completely underestimated. Let me tell you what's coming. Imagine someone believed you were involved with multiple people, that you were out there living recklessly while claiming to be faithful or focused. Then the full picture emerges. You were home alone the entire time. The supposed evidence of you being in compromising situations, it was someone else, or it was edited, or it was completely fabricated. When they pull back the camera, when they see the full context, when they get access to the complete timeline, it becomes undeniable. You were exactly who you said you were. They believed a fantasy version of you that never existed. Or imagine someone thought you were stealing or lying, or manipulating your way into positions you didn't deserve. Then the receipts come out. The timestamps don't match the accusations. The witnesses recant. The supposed victim admits they made it up or exaggerated. And suddenly everyone has to confront the fact that an innocent person was dragged through hell based on fiction. This is the power of the full picture, chosen one. Once it's revealed, there's no going back. The people who have their eyes open can't unsee it. The truth is standing there in broad daylight, impossible to deny. The only people still holding on to the lies are the ones walking around with their eyes squeezed shut, bumping into walls, refusing to admit they were wrong. And those people, they're going to get left behind. They're going to keep taking hits to their reputation and their peace of mind because they'd rather be delusional than humble enough to say they messed up. But that's not your problem anymore. Your job isn't to convince the willfully blind. Your job is to stand tall in your truth and let it shine so bright that everyone with functioning eyes can see it clearly. Now let's talk about what you need to do with all of this. First, recognize that you've been holding back. You've been walking carefully, speaking softly, trying not to make waves because you didn't want to give people more ammunition against you. But that season is over. The truth is your guard dog now, and it doesn't just bark, it bites. Hard. So it's time for you to speak up. Time for you to tell your story, without fear or apology. Time for you to be bold and tenacious and daring in a way you haven't allowed yourself to be. You were the truth the entire time, so why are you still tiptoeing around like you have something to hide? Why are you still worried about what people think when the evidence is stacking up in your favor? This is your moment to roar. This is your moment to take up space. This is your moment to remind everyone why they should have never doubted you in the first place. Second, get comfortable with the fact that not everyone is going to handle this well. The people who lied about you are going to try to discredit the truth. They're going to claim it's fake or exaggerated, or that you manipulated the narrative. The people who believed the lies might get defensive when confronted with evidence that they were wrong. They might try to minimize their role, or act like it wasn't that serious. Don't let them off the hook. You don't have to be cruel or vengeful, but you also don't have to make it easy for them to avoid accountability. They made choices. Those choices had consequences, and part of those consequences is having to sit in the discomfort of knowing they failed you. That's not your burden to carry. That's theirs. Here's something else you need to prepare for. There are people who are going to stay mad at you even after the truth comes out. I know that sounds crazy, but it's real. Some people invested so much into the lie that they can't let it go without losing face. Some people built alliances and relationships based on their mutual dislike of you. Some people used the lie as an excuse to justify their own bad behavior toward you. And when the lie is exposed, they're left with nothing. No excuse, no justification, just the raw reality that they were wrong, and they acted terribly. That's a humiliating position to be in. And rather than own it, some of them will double down. They'll move the goalposts. They'll find new reasons to dislike you. They'll claim that even if this particular lie wasn't true, you're still not a good person for some other vague reason. Don't waste your time trying to win these people over. They're not interested in truth. They're interested in being right. And they'll sacrifice truth on the altar of their ego every single time. Now here's something powerful I need you to grasp. People are going to start turning on the ones who lied about you, not just distancing themselves, actively turning against them. Because once you expose someone as a liar, especially someone who lied with such malicious intent, people get angry. They feel manipulated. They feel used. They realize they were pawns in someone else's sick game, and that realization breeds resentment. So the very people who joined the mob against you, they're about to become the mob against your accuser. They're going to demand answers. They're going to want to know why they were fed lies. They're going to feel betrayed. And the person who orchestrated this whole thing is going to find themselves isolated and scorned in ways they never imagined. The tables are turning so dramatically that it's almost poetic. The pit they dug for you, they're falling into it themselves. The destruction they planned for you, it's coming back to them multiplied. And let's talk about accountability for a second. Some people are going to try to slip away quietly. They're going to hope that if they just don't bring it up, you'll forget what they did. They're going to act like nothing happened and try to rebuild the relationship without ever acknowledging their role in your pain. Don't let them do that. You don't have to be aggressive about it, but you do need to require acknowledgement. If someone wants back in your life, they need to own what they did. They need to say it out loud. They need to look you in the eye and admit they were wrong. Not a vague non-apology like sorry if you felt hurt. A real apology that names the specific actions they took and the specific harm those actions caused. Anything less than that is manipulation. Anything less than that is them trying to avoid the discomfort of genuine accountability. And you deserve better than that. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. Third, understand that your elevation is directly connected to your vindication. As the lies crumble and the truth stands firm, you're going to notice opportunities opening up that were previously blocked. People who wouldn't give you the time of day are going to suddenly be interested in what you have to offer. Doors that were slammed shut are going to swing wide open. Resources that were withheld are going to become available. This isn't coincidence. This is the universe correcting the imbalance that was created when people chose lies over truth. You were always meant to be in these rooms, to have these conversations, to access these levels. The lies just delayed it. But the delay is over now, and everything that was stolen from you is being restored with interest. Finally, chosen one, I need you to recognize the spiritual significance of this moment. You didn't just survive a character assassination. You didn't just outlast a smear campaign. You proved something that very few people can prove. You proved that truth doesn't need an army to defend it. It just needs time. You stood alone in your integrity while everyone else was picking sides, and you trusted that eventually the facts would speak for themselves. That's a level of faith and patience that most people never develop. You could have retaliated. You could have fought fire with fire. You could have descended to the level of your enemies and matched their energy. But you didn't. You took the high road, even when it was lonely and painful and exhausting. And now you're watching that decision pay off in ways you couldn't have orchestrated yourself. The people who are crushed right now aren't just sad about losing you. They're crushed because they're seeing the kind of person you are, and they're realizing they failed a test they didn't even know they were taking. They're understanding that you weren't just another option or another name on a list. You were rare. You were special. You were the kind of person who comes around once in a lifetime, and they threw you away because they were too influenced by noise to recognize the signal. That regret is going to haunt some of them forever. They're going to see you thriving and think about what could have been if they had just trusted their initial instinct about you, if they had just asked you directly instead of listening to people who had an agenda, if they had just been brave enough to stand with you when it wasn't popular. But here's the beautiful part. While they're sitting in their regret, you're stepping into your destiny. You're no longer waiting for permission or validation or approval from people who couldn't see your value. You're moving forward with the confidence of someone who knows exactly who they are and what they bring to the table. You're operating from a place of wholeness instead of a place of lack, and that energy is magnetic. It's attracting the right people, the right opportunities, the right experiences. Everything that was meant for you is finally able to reach you because the blockage of lies and deception has been cleared out. The path is open, the vision is clear, and you're ready to walk into everything you were promised. So here's what I want you to remember as you navigate this season. The full picture is in view now. The lies have been exposed, the truth is undeniable, and you are exactly who you said you were all along. Stand tall in that. Be bold in that. Let it fuel you as you step into spaces that tried to reject you. Let it embolden you as you speak truth to people who tried to silence you. Let it remind you that you're not just surviving anymore. You're thriving. You're winning. And everyone who bet against you is watching it happen in real time, forced to confront the reality that they chose the wrong side. That's not arrogance. That's justice. That's the universe restoring balance. That's your vindication finally arriving after a long and brutal wait. And you, chosen one, you earned every bit of it. Not because you're perfect, but because you stayed true even when truth cost you everything. Now watch as everything you lost comes back to you multiplied, and everyone who doubted you has to witness your restoration with their